Namaste and welcome to Midday Prime. I'm Gautam Roy and today is a very somber day for the nation. It's bidding a final farewell to the 13th President of the nation. Former President Pranab Mukherjee died yesterday after an extended period of illness, and today has been a day where a lot of homage has been paid to him, tributes have been paid to him, not just by national leaders and top officials and bureaucrats, but by international leaders of standing as well. We'll get you all the updates related to that and much else on Midday Prime today. But let's begin with our headlines. Nation bids adieu to former President Pranab Mukherjee. Last rites performed with full military honours. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, CDS and Chiefs of 3 Defence Services were among the dignitaries who paid their last respects to former President Pranab Mukherjee. 7 days national mourning declared. Union Cabinet condoles sad demise of former President of India Pranab Mukherjee, observes 2 minutes silence. Passes resolution saying the country has lost a distinguished national leader, accomplished parliamentarian and a tall statesman. Condolences poured in from across the globe. World leaders expressed grief on the demise of former President Pranab Mukherjee. Russian President Putin says Pranab Kumar Mukherjee gained the respect of his compatriots and a high international reputation. Sri Lankan Prime Minister says he was a statesman par excellence, a writer and a man loved by all. JEE Main 2020 begins today amid strict COVID-19 precautions to ensure safety of students. Exams were postponed twice due to the coronavirus pandemic. The shift of the joint entrance examination Main 2020 will be held in 2 shifts per day. That makes a total of 12 shifts in 6 days. COVID-19 recovery rate in India climbs to nearly 77% with 28,39,000 recoveries. Fatality rate drops further to 1.77%. More than 10,16,000 samples tested in a single day in the last 24 hours. And over 2 crore and 56 lakh COVID-19 cases worldwide with over 8,54,000 deaths. WHO warns emergency authorization of vaccines requires a great deal of seriousness and reflection. And let's now begin with our big news. And the focus remains on the passing away of former President of India, Pranab Mukherjee. We're beginning with that. Well, the nation and even world leaders have been bidding a final farewell to former President Pranab Mukherjee, who passed away yesterday after a brief illness at Delhi's R&R Hospital. Fondly known as Pranab Da, his last rites were performed at the Lodi Road Crematorium in the national capital with full military honours. His mortal remains were kept in state earlier in the day at his official residence, 10 Rajaji Marg, where dignitaries such as President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and several union ministers, also Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, Chief of Defence Staff, 3 service chiefs and other top civilian and defence officials paid their last respects to him. The 84-year-old former president was admitted at the Army's R&R Hospital on the 10th of last month, but his illness got the better of him over the course of 21 days. The nation will remain in state mourning for 7 days from the date of his demise. A 7-time parliamentarian and recipient of Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian honour, Pranab Da was one of the most admired and respected political figures in the country and even world over. These are just some of the images of top leaders and dignitaries paying their last respects to Pranab Da. Prime Minister Modi being one among the many who have had glowing tributes to pay to Pranab Mukherjee. Now, condolences, as I said, have been pouring in. President Ramnath Kovind said on Twitter, and I quote, "Sad to hear that former President Shri Pranab Mukherjee is no more. His demise is the passing of an era. A colossus in public figure, he served Mother India with the spirit of a sage. The nation mourns losing one of its worthiest sons. Condolences to his family, friends and all citizens." Endowed with perspicacity and wisdom, Bharat Ratna Shri Mukherjee combined tradition and modernity. In his 5-decade-long illustrious public life, he remained rooted to the ground irrespective of the exalted offices he held. He endeared himself to people across the political spectrum. As the first citizen, he continued to connect with everyone, bringing Rashtrapati Bhavan closer to the people. He opened its gates for public visit. His decision to discontinue the use of the honorific His Excellency was historic, unquote. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu in turn said on Twitter, and I quote again, "Deeply saddened by the passing away of former President Shri Pranab Mukherjee, the country has lost an elder statesman in his death. He rose from humble beginnings to occupy the country's highest constitutional position through hard work, discipline and dedication. Shri Pranab Mukherjee brought dignity and decorum to every post he held during his long and distinguished public service. My deepest condolences to the bereaved family members. Om Shanti." And Prime Minister Modi also tweeted out his tribute, saying, and I quote again, "India grieves the passing away of Bharat Ratna Shri Pranab Mukherjee. He has left an indelible mark on the development trajectory of our nation. A scholar par excellence, a towering statesman, he was admired across the political spectrum and by all sections of society." As India's President, Shri Pranab Mukherjee made Rashtrapati Bhavan even more accessible to common citizens. He made the President's house a center of learning, innovation, culture, science and literature. His wise counsel on key policy matters will never be forgotten by me. I was new to Delhi in 2014. That's what Prime Minister said. From day one, I was blessed to have the guidance, support and blessings of Shri Pranab Mukherjee. I will always cherish my interactions with him. Condolences to his family, friends, admirers and supporters across India. Om Shanti, unquote. And Home Minister Amit Shah also gave his tribute out on Twitter, and he said it's a sad day that Pranab Mukherjee isn't among us anymore. He had expertise in taking everyone together.
पूरे देश के लिए गहरे दुख और सदमे की बात है कि आज भारत रत्न प्रणब मुखर्जी हम सब के बीच में नहीं रहे। आज उनका नश्वर देह भी हम लोगों के बीच से चला जाएगा। कई दशकों तक भारतीय राजनीति की क्षितिज में प्रणब की तरह ही कांतिवान रहकर प्रणब का काम करते रहे, चाहे पक्ष हो या विपक्ष। एज अ पार्लियामेंटेरियन उनके भाषणों ने हमेशा देश को एक अच्छी बहस दी, एक नई दिशा दी, एक नया निर्धार भी दिया। विपक्ष में हो या पक्ष में, नीतियों के निर्धारण की कटु आलोचना करनी हो या स्वयं नीति निर्धारण करना हो, हर बात में प्रणब का कौशल्य दिखाई पड़ता था। इतने लंबे सुदीर्घ कैरियर के अंदर वित्त, विदेश, रक्षा, कॉमर्स, कई सारे मंत्रालयों पर प्रणब की अमिट छाप हम देख सकते हैं। और एक भी क्षति करे बगैर सार्वजनिक जीवन में इतना लंबा कंट्रीब्यूशन करना शायद अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि थी प्रणव दा की। सबको साथ रखने की कला उनको महारत थी। जब सत्ता में थे तो विपक्ष के लोगों के साथ तालमेल बिठाने में हमेशा वो काम करते रहे। जब विपक्ष में रहे तो एक रचनात्मक विपक्ष की भूमिका निभाने में भी कभी पीछे नहीं हटे। कांग्रेस को अपने सेवा का माध्यम बनाते हुए प्रणव दा ने एक लंबे समय तक भारतीय राजनीति को कंट्रीब्यूट किया, समृद्ध किया, एक अच्छा दिशा दर्शन किया। ये राजनीति में आने वाले हर युवा के लिए प्रेरणादायी रहेगा, ऐसा मुझे लगता है। और जब वो भारत के राष्ट्रपति बने तो राष्ट्रपति पद की गरिमा को भी बढ़ाने में कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी। राष्ट्रपति भवन को आम आदमी के लिए खोलना ये उनका बहुत बड़ा फैसला था और उन्होंने राष्ट्रपति पद पर रहते हुए भी देश और विदेश सभी जगह अपनी विद्वता, अपना अभ्यासु स्वभाव और इतिहास और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मामलों के अपने ज्ञान को उजागर करते हुए देश का सम्मान हमेशा बढ़ाया। आज प्रणव दा हम लोगों के बीच में नहीं है। हम सब सार्वजनिक जीवन में जो काम करते हैं और देश की जनता सबके लिए एक लंबे समय तक एक अपूर्णीय क्षति रहेगी। और मैं मानता हूं कि जो लोग राजनीति में आना चाहते हैं, नॉन कंट्रोवर्शियल होकर काम कैसे किया जा सकता है, अगर वो सीखना है तो प्रणब मुखर्जी के जीवन को बारीकी से अभ्यास करना चाहिए। प्रभु प्रणव दा के आत्मा को शांति दे, उनके परिजनों को ये विकट दुख सहन करने की शक्ति दे, यही प्रभु प्रार्थना कर कर मेरी बात को समाप्त करता हूँ। ओम शांति शांति।
And the Union Cabinet has also condoled the sad demise of Pranab Mukherjee, former President of India, on behalf of the government as well as the people of the country. The Cabinet also observed 2-minute silence in the memory of Pranab Mukherjee. And if you look at the resolution that was passed, it was a salutation to Pranab Da. The resolution, of course, said that the sad demise is condoled. They all collectively condoled the sad passing away of the former president. And apart from that, if you go on further and look at what was done, there was 2-minute silence that was observed as well because of a collective paying of respect, and a resolution was passed in the Union Cabinet to condole the demise. Cabinet expresses profound sorrow at the sad demise, that's what was said. And apart from that, it was also said that the country has lost distinguished leader and outstanding parliamentarian. That is something, the words that was used to describe Pranab Da. 13th President of India was a man of unparalleled experience in governance who served as Union Foreign, Defence, Commerce as well as Finance Minister. So his distinct contributions to nation building were also noted in that resolution. It was said that he assumed office of President of India on the 25th of July 2012 and served a full 5-year term. And apart from that, it was also said that Sri Mukherjee lent dignity to high office and brought to bear his scholarly and humanitarian outlook on national and international affairs. And that was something that was pretty evident, especially during the course of his 5 years as President of the country. Prolific reader, authored several books on Indian economy and nation building. That is also something that the Union Cabinet resolution has made a specific and special note of. Many awards and honors conferred on him, including Best Parliamentarian Award in 1997. He was one of the longest serving parliamentarians as far as the country is concerned. And Padma Vibhushan was conferred upon him in 2008, and India's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna, in 2019. So it's actually Bharat Ratna Pranab Mukherjee is how we should be referring to him. Sri Mukherjee has left his imprint on our national life. That is a big coming in from the Union Cabinet as far as the impact that Pranab Mukherjee had on all of us. The country has lost distinguished national leader, accomplished parliamentarian and tall statesman. That's another telltale coming in from the Union Cabinet in terms of the kind of person and the large personality that Pranab Mukherjee was. Cabinet records deep appreciation of services of Sri Pranab Mukherjee, to the nation. That's what the cabinet resolution said, and it said that it extends heartfelt condolences to members of his bereaved family on behalf of the government and the entire nation. So that's the cabinet resolution paying a fitting tribute to former President Pranab Mukherjee. Let's now, in fact, take a short break. At the moment, we'll get you more updates on this sad parting, final parting with a great tall leader. Stay tuned to DD News and DD India.
सुनो।
हाँ? अभी गाड़ी बुलाता हूँ। हेलो ममता वाहन, एड्रेस लिखो और गाड़ी भेज दो। क्या कर रही हो तुम? अब तक तैयार नहीं हुई?
तैयार तो हूँ मैं माँ बनने के लिए, और फिर से तुम्हारी दुल्हन बनने के लिए भी। डॉक्टर, पिछली बार आप वो प्रसव पश्चात का बोल रहे थे।
प्रसव पश्चात IUCD यानी PPIUCD डिलीवरी के तुरंत बाद अपनाने से आप बच्चों के बीच 3 साल का अंतर रख सकते हैं। सुरक्षित और भरोसेमंद। इससे आपको मिले बच्चे और पति को प्यार करने की पूरी आजादी।
प्रसव पश्चात IUCD अपनाओ और दोनों रिश्ते निभाओ।
Welcome back. You're in Midday Prime, and we've been getting you all the updates related to the passing away of former president of the country, Pranab Mukherjee. His last rites have been performed at Lodi Road Crematorium. Let's go across live to my colleague Meghna for more on this. Meghna, you were there when the last rites were performed. What can you tell us about how somber was the moment in terms of the kind of people who were there paying their last respects, bidding a final farewell to Pranab Da?
Undoubtedly, Gautam, it was his last journey at the Lodi Road Crematorium. His mortal remains were brought to the Lodi Crematorium, and his son had performed his last rites. And the saddest thing that the people were grieving there, and while his last journey, he was taking his last journey after his last rites were performed, people were chanting Pranab Da Amar Rahe, and we could feel it in the eyes of the people. They were bidding a farewell, teary-eyed, undoubtedly. And the most important thing here, Gautam, is that not only people from the nation but worldwide people are grieving loss of such a stalwart leader, and that actually puts across the point that how did he cut across several age groups or boundaries, how much of a reach he had. And obviously the mortal remains were taken from his residence, Tendaraji Marg, to the Lodi crematorium, and obviously we know that he had tested positive for COVID-19. So that is the reason there were several protocols followed, and even his family members and other people who had to pay their last respects and were there for his last rites were donning PPE kits, and they were in the PPE kits, and very few people were there at the cremation ground also. Though the cremation happened, there was an electric cremation obviously, and obviously full state honors were afforded, full military honors were afforded, and his last rites were performed by his son. And also, Gautam, to just share a fond memory of Pranab Da which I had. He was, as we know, he was a great academician. He was too much into learning, and also he loved teaching. And he always used to talk about, books and everything. So he actually had come once to IIM Ahmedabad, and he had actually emphasized a lot on innovation and industry collaboration. So that was a speech which he gave, and also just like late former President APJ Abdul Kalam, He had also been a guest faculty at IIM Ahmedabad,
Yes.
and he had, conducted some lectures there, and he actually was conducting lectures on public policy for inclusive development of India. And he always used to quote the Constitution at several places, in several places in his lecture, and whenever he used to address students, especially, he always used to quote Constitutions in whatever he used to say. And today, when we actually bid farewell to the stalwart leader, we could actually sense it in the atmosphere, the grief in the atmosphere, though his motto remains for God in a hearse van, rather than a gun van which is generally used. So because of obviously the COVID protocols had to be followed, it was a very short and a very small, cremation that happened. Very
Yes.
few people were there. But
Yes, that's quite understandable, Meghna, because of the kind of protocols that are in place, especially for when last rites are performed in these times of COVID times. But let's also quickly go across to my colleague Vishal Baristo, who bore witness to all that went on as well at 10 Rajaji Marg, where all the dignitaries and all those who loved Pranab Da were there, coming there through the day. Vishal, really must have been quite a sight, so many wreaths being carried in and people bowing in reverence to Pranab Mukherjee.
Well, certainly quite a sight, Gautam. A very good afternoon to you.
Afternoon.
I was there since morning, and even before the schedule for the dignitaries started, people from all walks of life had started pouring in. They wanted to have a last glimpse of the former President Pranab Da. They finally called, but they had to wait for some time after the President left, and then it was open to the common man for the Aam Aadmi, and they could offer their reverence, they could offer their floral tributes on the picture of the former President of India. We remember that Pranab Da had fallen victim to COVID-19, so all protocols were being followed. But despite that, there was a lot of crowd, and people were coming out, and they were discussing things and how Pranab Da was used to perform himself in the parliament, and how important role did he play as far as the Congress party was concerned. And there were all kinds of obituaries, simple living, high thinking, but the one question that everybody was asking and was talking about, their obituary as the man who could have been the Prime Minister of the country. This is a question that even the Congress leaders were also being asked while they were offering their obituaries. Obviously, that's the question. But everybody knows that Pranab Da's mentor was Indira Gandhi, and after her assassination, how he had fallen apart with his son, former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, and he was, to everybody's astonishment, he was not taken into the ministerial berth, and that is why everybody was shocked. But then the UPA came, and then Pranab Da was also there. His key role as far as the US-India atomic deal was, nuclear deal, I beg your pardon, is also the point of discussion, even though he has left, but his memories are there, and they will always remain with us, with all his fans and people across the party lines, not only in the Congress party. And now they would be missing him now with the Congress party. Some of the leaders, a few days back, when they had sent a letter to the party high command for a change of guard.
Right,
All these
definitely.
people, they must be thinking that Pranab Da, it had been there, the Congress would have not reached to this position.
Well, certainly there are questions in everyone's minds. The kind of personality that Pranab Da was, certainly more could have been expected from him as well, and he contributed a huge amount for the nation too. Let's talk about that. In fact, Sanjay Singh, senior journalist, is with us. Sanjay, if I could ask you to sum up in terms of how can we really weigh someone like Pranab Mukherjee's contributions for the nation, because he had an influence in multiple spheres, from India's economy to defense to polity to democracy to constitution. He was a repository of knowledge, and he used it for the nation's betterment.
Precisely, Gautam. Somebody whose political career spans from 1969 when he entered Rajya Sabha. In fact, began his political activity from before. But somebody who entered parliament in 1969 and was not exactly in politics till 2012 and thereafter President of India for 5 years. That speaks a lot about his personality. The fact that when he became president and was his name was being considered, and then a whole lot of talks as to whether or not he'll become president, and then he became, of course, president because some bit of political maneuvering here and there, and we'll come to that part later. But look at his contribution. Somebody who enters parliament at the age of 34, I think 34, 35, early 30s, say, in House of Elders at very early age, spotted by Mrs. Indira Gandhi. And initially he was not in Congress, he was part of something else, but then his party merged. Prior to that he moved on to Congress. Becomes minister a few years later, then leader of House in Upper House, that is Rajya Sabha. And from there on, he held various ministerial capacities, rising to become Finance Minister of India. And then the same person continues to be in Rajya Sabha for long, till he falls out with Rajiv Gandhi. And thereafter, in 2004, enters Lok Sabha. Look at grit of the man, and forms his own party, then comes back to Congress. The fact is, he was so widely respected, somebody who was considered as a walking encyclopedia, somebody whose thoughts were clear about policies, about the way polity should be, about what should happen, he also, as to background political strategist and troubleshooter. And look at a situation whereby he was admired by people across the political spectrum. When he became president, it was in fact Mamata Banerjee and subsequently then Mulayam Singh Yadav, where they played the role of a catalyst. Then, of course, he was put up as Congress's candidate.
Yes.
And then look at a situation whereby Narendra Modi becomes Prime Minister of India. Somebody, he was a congressman to the core, that's what was said. And when Modi became Prime Minister, some people thought that, okay, the relation between the Rashtrapati Bhavan and the Prime Minister's office is not going to be cordial anymore. But something completely different happened. Prime Minister Modi's relationship and President Pranab Mukherjee's relationship was excellent. It was more than cordial. They struck a very personal rapport. Modi touching President Pranab Mukherjee's feet.
In fact, we're playing images right now of RSS Sarsang Chalak paying his tribute as well. And he also had glowing words to express for Pranab Mukherjee on his sad demise.
Precisely, Gautam. That's what I was saying. And that relationship with Modi and Pranab Mukherjee, where Mr. Modi said that he was his mentor and father-like figure in Delhi when he came to Delhi and became Prime Minister. And then the fact that you just talked about RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat paying tributes today. And this again will go down in history as something very unique. When RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat visited Rashtrapati Bhavan, when Pranab Mukherjee was president, and they had lunch subsequent, they also had interactions. Of course, it was then not very widely known as to his visit. But after he demitted the office of Rashtrapati Bhavan, he went to RSS function conclave at Nagpur.
Yes.
And then it seemed as if whole world was talking about it, his protagonist, his antagonist, his critics, his former party men, in the sense Congress party leaders, his even own daughter had something to say against it, but he stood firm. He went there, he went to various places, he came to podium, he sat there, and his speech was simply remarkable. That was a speech which I think every student of politics, everybody, all politicians and people in high offices should listen to it as to that remarkable speech whereby he talks about RSS. Of course, he was there at RSS conclave, he talked about it. He talked about morality, he talked about public life, he talked about so many things. But those pictures, his presence, those things were remarkable. What it signifies that he was not guided by what people talked about him, who may talk or may not talk about him. He was not the dogmas that prevailed for decades or whatever. He was also not guided by any particular political ideology.
Yes, no partisanship is something that was pretty evident through his entire tenure, especially as the president of the country and even afterwards, after he demitted office.
Yeah, precisely. After he demitted office, so many ministers and so many leaders of Modi government, Congress leaders also visited him. But of course, people from this side of political spectrum were visiting him. And he played as a mentor with everybody. People had so much to learn from him. Gautam, you earned respect, and he earned respect from the very fact that his persona was so vast. You had so much to learn from about things which happened maybe in 1950s, 60s to 70s till now, and what may somebody what turn and what way somebody should proceed in future. He is a remarkable person.
Certainly, and even as minister in different responsibilities, be it external affairs, defense or economy, as finance minister, he left a huge impression there as well, especially on the economic front. Disinvestment is also one thing that he really pushed for through the course of his tenure as finance minister.
Yeah, precisely. In fact, he was senior most minister. Many people thought he should have been prime minister and would have made an excellent prime minister, but that couldn't be. He was senior to Manmohan Singh, and but he respected Manmohan Singh as prime minister. He did not his own seniority come in any way in functioning of the government. Somebody who was finance minister, defense minister, and external affairs minister. And his achievements in all three ministries were quite remarkable. In fact, once there was an issue, there was a controversy regarding some kind of snooping that may have happened in his office. And even then he remained very measured. He did not speak out anything against anybody or anything that may or may not have happened.
Yes.
But these controversies raised on, and he remained quiet. He kept on working. When he was external affairs minister, of course, there were so many things. As finance minister, he had left a mark as finance minister in 1980s, and again he became finance minister 25 years later, 82 to 84 was finance minister. Then 2009, again he becomes finance minister. This kind of gap in somebody's political life, Gautam, I don't think there is any other person who was cabinet minister of this kind of a portfolio ever came to handle same kind of this highly sensitive, highly powerful, highly influential, highly kind of ministry which influences life of, almost touches life of every Indian 25 years later, and carried on with a great deal of excellence.
Certainly, and that is something that he will be remembered for years and years to come. The kind of contribution that he made in different spheres for the nation is indeed remarkable. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Sanjay Singh. Okay, let's now move on to what is right now a developing story. Well, if you talk about the rains and floods across the country, where the flood situation is under control in Madhya Pradesh for the time being, the Narmada River is flowing around 5 to 6 feet above the danger mark still at this point. Some people are still staying at relief camps. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan will be visiting flood-affected areas of Sehor, Harda and Devas district today. Yesterday, he took stock of the flood-affected areas in Hoshangabad district. The Met Department has said that the next 48 hours will be normal, but on the 3rd and 4th of September, there might be increased rainfall in some areas. And Madhya Pradesh's Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has also said that now a survey will be conducted to assess the situation on the ground.
जब हम सर्वे शुरू करेंगे, नुकसान का आकलन करेंगे और नुकसान का आकलन करके उस नुकसान की पूर्ति करवाएंगे ताकि आपकी गृहस्थी फिर से पटरी पे आ सके, रोजी रोटी चल सके, गरीबों की भी और किसानों की भी फसल का आकलन करेंगे.
So an extensive survey is what the Chief Minister is referring to, will be taken up and to ensure that people are properly compensated for their losses. Let's go across to my colleague Aditya joining us from Bhopal to find out more about the situation there in Madhya Pradesh. Right now, Aditya, it seems that things are improving, but isn't it still quite unpredictable because more rain is forecast in just a couple of days from now? The situation could still change.
Yes, Gautam, Met Department predicted next 48 to 72 hours there might be some systems create and the rainfall activity may strong in Madhya Pradesh. But yes, right now flood condition is under control in Madhya Pradesh. But the Narmada River flows around 5 to 4 feet over the mark, but as we know, the flood area, most of the flood areas are nearby the Narmada River. But water is now the water is down. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan visiting the flood areas of Devas, Sihor, and meet with the flood affected people. Most of the people, some of the peoples are right now stay in the relief camp. Government or local administration is trying to give all the facilities, all the help, all the needs to them. But we can say that because of last 24 to 48 hours, no rain in Madhya Pradesh. So the situation is now is continued under control.
All right, and in terms of the entire relief measures, people in relief camps, how's the situation there? There is, of course, COVID-19, but disease outbreak is also a concern.
Yeah, local administration is trying to give food in shelter homes. State government gave instructions to the local administration to clear the area of flood affected because you know the lot of gandagi is over there. So there is a chances to disease, but the health department also take actions and providing all kind of medical facilities and medicines at these places.
Certainly, that is also a very essential part of the entire exercise. Thanks a lot for joining us, Aditya from Bhopal. Okay, now we're moving on to all the updates that have been coming in around from the country in National Prime. Let's now get you the latest as far as the probe into the death of Sushant Singh Rajput, a noted actor, is concerned, where the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate are questioning family members of Rhea Chakrabarti and Goa hotelier Gaurav Arya today. Rhea Chakrabarti has not been called by the CBI today for questioning. The CBI grilled Sushant Singh's staff at his residence earlier. Rhea's father Indrajit and her mother Sandhya have been made co-accused in this case by the CBI. Okay, let's find out more on this. Yogesh Sheetal, my colleague from Mumbai, is joining us on the phone line. Yogesh, what can you tell us in terms of the direction the probe is headed right now? The questioning of Gaurav Arya is also quite interesting. What can you tell us more about that?
See, two things are important today. The first thing is Gaurav Arya questioning. You have also rightly said yesterday already Gaurav was questioned, and today is the second day of his questioning by the Enforcement Directorate. On the other end, CBI is certainly questioning with Ria's family members. One thing which is very important also, that Ria has been questioning, being questioned by the Central Bureau of Investigation House for the last few days. But now, Indrajit Chakravarti and Sandhya Chakravarti, her parents are now being questioned. So it seems that CBI has definitely, or perhaps you can say, that have some evidences and have some understanding that what exactly happened in this case as far as legal reasonings are concerned. So we can say that direction CBI has found a director, because also CBI has visited the residence of Sushant Singh Rajput for 4 times. So it seems that mostly today or tomorrow we can get something, something very important in this case, because Ria's questioning seems to be over by the enforcement, by the Central Bureau of Investigation, and it is also, if sources are to be believed, then some evidences are there, and some contradictions, some differences in the statements are there. So I think by today or by tomorrow, after the next summon of the CBI, things would be very clear. Things would be, I think, more clear in this case. Yeah, Gautam.
All right, Yogesh, let's see what happens. Thanks a lot for joining us for the time being. Now, the joint entrance exams, that's the JEE mains for admission to engineering colleges, began today amid stringent precautions and social distancing measures in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. Staggered entry and exit for candidates, sanitizers at the gates, distribution of masks and maintaining social distancing as candidates queued up were among the scenes witnessed at the 660 exam centers across the country. The exam, which in fact was postponed twice in view of the pandemic, is now scheduled and has started taking place from today, and it will go on till the 6th of September. And JEE aspirants have reacted positively to the holding of the exams today. Here's a set of reactions from outside the exam centers in Delhi.
पहले में और इस बार में काफ़ी फ़र्क रहा। पहले तो काफ़ी करीब बैठते थे, लेकिन इस बार बच्चे भी कम थे और जो साफ़ सफाई का पूरा ख्याल था। सब चीज़ों मतलब पहले के मुकाबले बहुत ज़्यादा एहतियात की गई।
Social distancing was followed by everyone, and yeah, it was good. Like sanitizer was given twice. It was good.
I'm glad that they finally happened. I didn't want them to be postponed because it's a headache. Like the more they postpone it, the more the pressure it builds. So basically, I'm happy that I'm relieved that it's over now.
Distance maintain किया, sanitize कराया 2-3 बार और mask पहनाया, दूसरा mask दिया और बोला कि किसी से मतलब हर चीज़ में सारी वेरिफिकेशन पूरी हो रही थी, आराम से बहुत पीसफुली हो रहा था, सब कुछ अच्छा था।
So this is the day 1 of the JEE exams. Let's go across to my colleague Nishant Saurabh for more on this. Nishant, just tell us what kind of reports have you been getting from across the country related to the conduct of the JEE, because that's a pointer for a lot of other things to come where students are concerned.
ये देखिए गौतम, बिल्कुल ये कोरोना के टाइम का पहला एक सबसे बड़ा एग्जाम, एक नेशनल लेवल का एग्जाम था जिसमें लाखों कैंडिडेट्स को अपीयर होना था। और खास तौर पर जेईई मेन की बात करें तो 8,58,000 स्टूडेंट्स इसमें अपीयर हो रहे हैं। तो ये निश्चित तौर पर एक काफी बड़ा एग्जाम था, काफी इंपॉर्टेंट एग्जाम होता। और जैसा कि आपने स्टूडेंट्स के रिएक्शन को देखा कि स्टूडेंट्स काफी खुश थे कि फाइनली 2 बार पोस्टपोन होने के बाद आज फाइनली एग्जाम की शुरुआत हो गई है, क्योंकि स्टूडेंट्स इस इंजीनियरिंग एग्जाम के लिए काफी लंबे समय से प्रिपरेशन करते हैं। 2-2, 3-3 साल की तैयारी होती है स्टूडेंट्स की, और जो भी स्टूडेंट अच्छी तैयारी करता है वो निश्चित तौर पर नहीं चाहता है कि एग्जाम बार-बार पोस्टपोन हो। तो पहले भी 2 बार पोस्टपोन हो चुके थे, और ऐसे में अगर एग्जाम इस टाइम पे नहीं कंडक्ट किया जाता तो 1 साल स्टूडेंट्स का 1 साल बर्बाद होने का खतरा था। तो ऐसे में पूरी एहतियात के साथ, पूरी सावधानी बरतते हुए एग्जाम को कंडक्ट करवाया गया। और पूरे देश भर में अभी चूंकि फर्स्ट शिफ्ट का एग्जाम ओवर हो चुका है 12 बजे, और थोड़ी देर में जो सेकंड शिफ्ट का एग्जाम शुरू होगा 3 बजे से लेकर 6 बजे तक सेकंड शिफ्ट का एग्जाम होगा, वो भी थोड़ी देर में शुरू होने वाला होगा। तो किसी तरह की किसी भी परेशानी का सामना नहीं करना पड़ा। अगर खासतौर पर अगर फर्स्ट शिफ्ट की बात करें तो बिल्कुल सुचारू रूप से एग्जाम कंडक्ट कराया गया। और इसके लिए निश्चित तौर पर जो नेशनल टेस्टिंग एजेंसी है वो निश्चित तौर पर बधाई की बात है, क्योंकि जिस तरह से बिल्कुल तैयारी की गई एग्जाम सेंटर के बाहर, एग्जाम सेंटर के अंदर, और छात्रों को उनके घर से एग्जाम सेंटर तक लाने ले जाने के लिए जो तैयारियां की गई, और काफी सारे स्टेट्स गवर्नमेंट ने भी बिल्कुल सपोर्ट किया स्टूडेंट्स का, और कई स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने स्पेशल बसेस चलाई कैंडिडेट्स को एग्जाम सेंटर तक ले जाने के लिए। फ्री में ट्रांसपोर्टेशन की व्यवस्था की गई। मुंबई में सबअर्बन ट्रेन्स में भी कैंडिडेट्स और उनके जो पेरेंट्स है उनके आने जाने की व्यवस्था की गई। तो सारे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स का सपोर्ट रहा, और इसके लिए नेशनल टेस्टिंग एजेंसी काफी पहले से ही सारे स्टेट्स के जो चीफ सेक्रेटरी हैं, होम सेक्रेटरी हैं, वहां हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट के डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट्स, एसपी, सबको लेटर लिखा गया था कि जो एग्जाम है उसको अच्छे तरह से कंडक्ट कराया जाए। उसके लिए जो जैसे एग्जाम सेंटर के बाहर क्राउड मैनेजमेंट की व्यवस्था अच्छे से की जाए, और एग्जाम सेंटर के अंदर भी जैसा कि कैंडिडेट्स भी बता रहे थे कि अच्छे से सैनिटाइजेशन की व्यवस्था की गई थी, और जो भी स्टूडेंट अगर डिमांड कर रहे थे तो उन्हें एक फेस मास्क और ग्लव्स भी प्रोवाइड कराया जा रहा था।
जी जी, तो कोविड को देखते हुए सब कुछ अभी सुचारू रूप से हुआ है। पहला ही दिन है, उम्मीद करते हैं कि आने वाले दिन देयर आर 5 more days still to go, and let's hope that everything goes as smoothly as possible here as well, because like I said, and you too, Nishant, that this is a pointer to other things that are supposed to be unfolding. There's NEET as well, and of course students need to get back to school as well. So this is a test case in terms of a mass exercise involving students, and we all hope and pray that everything goes well. Thanks a lot for joining us for the time being. Okay, and now it's time in Midday Prime for all the news and updates from the world of business and economy. And for all the updates in the business world, we have Narayan. I beg your pardon, let's just move on and get you all the business updates. We're attributing the 23.9% contraction in GDP in April-June to the coronavirus lockdown. Chief Economic Advisor K.V. Subramaniam has said the country will witness a better performance in subsequent quarters, aided by a V-shaped recovery in various sectors. He said indicators such as rail freight, traffic and electricity consumption are pointing to a recovery in economic activity.
April to June quarter economic performance is primarily due to an exogenous shock that has been felt globally, the COVID pandemic, which has resulted in global lockdowns in the April to June quarter. But what is important is that India is experiencing a V-shaped recovery after the unlocks have been announced. For instance, core sector growth, which had declined by 38% in April, those declines have progressively reduced to 22% in May, 13% in June, and 9.6% in July.
And now let's take a quick look at what's making news across the globe as well. Well, the World Health Organization has said the emergency authorization of COVID-19 vaccines requires a great deal of seriousness and reflection. The WHO's comments have come as Moscow clinics last week began receiving supplies of a COVID-19 vaccine which has been approved for use inside Russia, even though the final phase 3 tests involving 40,000 people began only a week ago. Russia is the first country to license a COVID-19 vaccine called Sputnik V. Many experts have expressed skepticism about the Russian vaccine after the government declared its intention to give it to high-risk groups in October without data from large pivotal trials.
in order to get in the queue.
Each country has a sovereign right to define its policy for vaccination or any other therapeutic intervention in its population, but it must be guided by the highest possible ethical standards, the highest possible scientific standards.
Meanwhile, the WHO has also called on countries to preserve their restrictions, in fact persevere with their restrictions to tackle COVID-19. Recognizing that many people are tired of restrictions, WHO chief has said opening up without control would be a recipe for disaster. He added that everyone wants to see children returning to schools and people returning to workplaces, but it must be done with utmost safety.
WHO fully supports efforts to reopen economies and societies. We want to see children returning to school and people returning to the workplace, but we want to see it done safely. Opening up without having control is a recipe for disaster.
So the WHO's view on that is pretty clear, that one needs to keep caution ahead of anything else. But it's now time to get you all the updates from the world of sports. And sports is making a comeback, and with all the updates on that front, we've got Narayan.
Thanks, Gautam. We start with the US Open. World number 1 Novak Djokovic began his quest for an 18th Grand Slam title with a straight set win over Damir Zumor in the US Open first round. The 33-year-old serve raced through the opening set before being tested in the second on his way to a 6-1, 6-4, 6-1 win. Djokovic is seeking to capitalize on the absence of fellow greats Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer in New York. Fifth seed Alexander Zverev was made to work hard as he progressed into second round of the US Open following a 3-hour-long tussle with 2017 finalist Kevin Anderson. Fourth seed Stefanos Tsitsipas eased into second round of the Flushing Meadows tournament. Greek player 1 hour 38 minutes to dispose of the world number 41 Spain's Albert Ramos 6-2, 6-1, 6-1. In women's section, single top seed Karolina Pliskova got a roaring start to bid for a maiden Grand Slam title at the US Open. Pliskova defeated first round opponent Anelina Kalinina 6-4, 6-0. Fourth seed Naomi Osaka overcame a scare to beat fellow Japanese player Misaki Doi in 3 sets and avoid a major shock in the US Open first round. Osaka, who won first of her 2 Grand Slams at Flushing Meadows in 2018, wobbled in the second set before recovering for a 6-2, 5-7, 6-2 victory. In another women's singles match of US Open, Anastasia Sevastova defeated American teenager Coco Gauff 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 to claim her first win of the year and advance to the second round of the US Open. Now shifting focus to football, Lionel Messi missed Barcelona's first training session of the new season on Monday, days after his shock announcement that he wants to leave Catalan club. Messi's failure to show up for the session, the first under new coach Ronald Koeman, was widely expected. That the 33-year-old Argentine also failed up to show up for a pre-season medical on Sunday. The 6-time World Player of the Year insists he has a clause in his contract that allows him to leave on a free transfer, a claim disputed by Barcelona. That's all from the sporting world. Now back to you, Gautam.
Thanks a lot, Narayan. And let's now turn to the softer side of our news, which is all about Life Prime. With a strong resolve to save green cover, German researchers are experimenting with planting Mediterranean trees in German forests in a bid to help them survive climate change. Years of summer heat waves and minimal rainfall have been damaging the forests, with some native species like pine and oak struggling with the changing conditions. According to research, climate change associated with high temperatures and dry conditions are likely to become more frequent in future. Researchers working on the project have found success in planting downy oak trees, which normally grow in the Mediterranean and the south of France. The downy oak is closely related to the native German oak and so can help to fill its role in the ecosystem, including being a habitat for over 100 species of insects. Fortunately, the 2020 summer has not been as dry as feared. There is a fair chance to improve the climatic and forest conditions. And that's all we've been able to pack in Midday Prime today. But for all the latest, stay tuned to DD News and DD India. We'll keep getting you updates on the final farewell of Pranab Da.